William has William has published three books. This is his third presentation for Amherst Neighbors, which sets a record. And we're just thrilled to have him with his newly published book called Official Comics. And I should read the subtitle: A Compilation of Excessive Frankness.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming. And I'm going to talk with you about comics in the 1970s and 80s, which were especially a rich time for this medium. Uh, Both the independent and the underground comic movements came to be about then. My particular niche was college humor. I did comic strip for my college paper. Uh,
Oh,
Back then in those years. Uh, and like Sandy said, a book has just been published of my cartoons. So this is kind of a walk down memory lane, a time machine, whatever you want to call it, uh, of comics from that era, which was a fantastic era. Like I said, there were all these things emerging um, in independent papers. There was the Village Voice. You've probably heard of it. There was East Village Other, and they all had to me, very bizarre comic strips because up until then, all I'd seen and all anybody had seen were these sort of milk toast cartoons that were in the daily paper. Uh, and the artists just got totally radical at about that point. Many of them did. They were very original, very, very interesting things. The National Lampoon used to have a comic section with many different cartoonists, all of whom were outrageous. uh, so this was a fertile period, and also what came along at about this time was on the West Coast there were these underground comic books, Zap Comics. You might have seen them if you're old enough. Uh, and within that medium emerged what I consider to be a virtuoso. Any artistic movement has to have a virtuoso, right? And this guy came along, Robert Crumb, who had these characterizations, these incredibly detailed and beautiful and meaningful drawings, and these unhinged kinds of storylines, but personalities you recognize in a minute, even though they were mainly talking animals. That was not the style at the time in comics. The comics then mainly had human characters, and the talking animals were old-fashioned, kind of Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney stuff that uh, went out of style. So therefore, Crumb and others used talking animals in his comics. Um, just as an aside, Crumb's legitimacy as an artist has only increased over the years and the decades. He was in the latest, or very recently, a couple of weeks ago, he was in the Atlantic magazine. He's done a few covers for the New Yorker, and if I told you what his like one drawing recently sold at auction, one single sheet of paper that he did back when he was in San Francisco, selling his comic books on a street corner out of a little baby carriage that he wheeled around. One drawing that was in that comic went for $770,000 at auction not long ago. And a book he did of the book of Genesis of the Bible, he illustrated the whole book of Genesis. And he has not sold that, but he has been offered way, way in excess of $1 million for that. So, I mean, anyway, that's sort of beside the point. I guess what I'm saying is when I was doing these independent comics, um, he was sort of a mentor or an inspiration for me and I think any independent cartoonist at the time figured if they could achieve even 10% of his level of skill, we would be a total success. Uh, so that was that. Anyway, back
Where does Doonesbury fit into what you just described?
Doonesbury fits in totally in this
Okay.
something of an inspiration because Doonesbury at the time was in the Yale newspaper, I think it was called the Yale Independent. And he did a little strip in there called Bull Tales, but it was all the same characters. It was Mike Doonesbury and BD, the guy with the football helmet, and the rest of them that still are in Doonesbury even today. Uh, but he made the jump to the commercial world. He was in the newspaper comics, unlike any of these other guys I've just mentioned. Um, and for many years, many years, it was the best comic in the newspapers. It was especially meaningful to me doing college humor because the setting in the early years was college campus, same as my cartoons, official comics. Um, so part of the problem as I'm working in my little loft in Somerville is trying to make artwork that looked good on the cheap newsprint that was going to be created. Crumb said that too. He believed the final output was not these drawings that he's getting thousands of dollars for, but really he created them. The final work of art was the comic book. And so here's something I found that just to show you what it's like. And I've scratched these things and first pencil them, then do them in India ink, and then first write them and then draw the balloons, draw the lettering, and draw them, and then try to erase the pencil lines. And then there was this whole thing. They're coming off now after, 1977, after 49 years. They're kind of falling apart. But all these borders, which you could do in Photoshop just by saying draw a square border around the panel, had to be done with this tape that had to be sticky on one side, and you had to put it down and try to get it straight. All of this stuff is Zipatone. See if I can get it close enough that you can see. That's how you had, I don't know if that shows up, but they're little tiny dots.
Yeah.
Little tiny dots are because on newsprint, at least back then, you could not print a gray tone. You had to, use a grid of dots, which would imitate the color gray. This stuff is sticky paper that you would put down, clear sticky paper. You'd peel it off, you'd stick it down, and then you would take an X-Acto knife, like this thing, and you would cut out everything that was not going to be gray and peel it off and try not to injure yourself in the process with this razor sharp little blade. And then when you're all done, you peel it off and send it to send it to have a proof made, and then that proof would go off to the different newspapers. Rather tedious.
William, how long would it take you to do that? Than what you just
A
held
week.
up?
I wouldn't study or anything. It'd take a week.
1 week to do that one cartoon?
Well, I don't know. Probably took a few hours, or several hours, many hours. But I did them once a week, and then the restoration, of course, when I got to the comic, took probably that long again because I had to digitally put the Zipatone, the dots back into place, colorize it. Maybe in all cases, I made the word balloons bigger because in this book it would show up better, and sometimes rewrote the words a little bit. That meant getting a typeface that was based on my own handwriting in these comics, or in some cases cutting out a word or letters and pasting it in digitally. So there's the Tufts Observer, and there's the weekly comic that eventually went into quite a number of college papers. These were, if I couldn't find the original, which usually I couldn't, these were really hard to deal with because I had to not only use a crappy, newspaper print that's already second or third generation from the original, but it was getting yellow after all these years and had stains and all that stuff. So they all got pieced together, and here, colorized, put together, and the comic strips that were once 4 strips across became stacked up because it would fit better in this book format. So I've had fun over the last year doing the digital and electronic part of the things that I was struggling with on with these primitive graphical tools back in the 70s and 80s. And before we go on, I'm kind of a little bit disparaging about the newspaper and the life back then as being sort of unserious. The Observer still exists, the Tufts Observer. It is a it's still a student paper, and it's not just funny animals and cartoons. I had it easy. These were politically oriented cartoons in many cases, as a lot of things were. But today, as you may be aware, the paper has had editorials. I'll show you one um, that appeared not too long ago. Can you see that? It's
Yeah.
an op-ed. Okay, and I've read it. It's about giving recognition to the Palestinians, and it's hopefully the university would have some sense of fairness about uh, Israel and the attack on Gaza and so on and so forth, citing Geneva Convention, and it's very, very scholarly. And I'm not even sure I disagree with everything that's on there. Now, the outcome of that, unlike me, here I am sitting in my little my little loft in Somerville. Uh, there I am. Uh, Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's this guy
Yeah. You haven't
50 years
aged yet.
ago. Yeah, there's that guy 50 years ago drawing a comic strip. Uh, so not too far from that, in physical space in Somerville, uh, we we had something like this happen. Let me share a screen um, to show that college newspapers aren't entirely uh, unserious and comedic. This is very close to where I lived in Somerville. This is a tough student here. She's a Fulbright scholar, Ramisa Ozturk. Here's ICE. She's completely legal, visa, everything. There she is screaming while ICE scoops her up for that editorial you just saw on your screen from the Tufts newspaper.
Yeah, I remember this.
They're handcuffing her, then they drag her off. She ended up, nobody knew where she was for a while. She ended up in a prison in Louisiana. A PhD student, like I said, a Fulbright scholar. And, you know, let's just say us cartoonists, we had it good. We're just unserious
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Now she back at school?
Yeah, they released her. I think she finished her Fulbright and her PhD and went back to Turkey.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was that. Well,
I thought
in
you were
any case,
I thought you were going to speak to the disappearance of newspapers.
there's that too.
Yeah, the kind of
Yeah, if you
event.
want to read good comics today, you would go to the graphic novels, some of which are brilliant. But yeah, newspaper comics have sort of declined, and the newspapers themselves have declined.
Yeah.
But Tufts still does have actually several newspapers at this point. Okay, well, anyway, so I was doing all this stuff before there was a Command Z to fix your mistakes. India ink is very unforgiving. Once you draw something, it's a hassle to undo it. It's quite a different thing. I like using the digital media better. I also was able to lay out the book myself, which was fun because I could do all these little runarounds and fun things with the type and showing. But then we get this is the memoir part of the book, and we get to the cartoons here, which is the retrospective or restored comics part of the book. I myself went on after that to get a job in the real world. I didn't go on with cartooning for too many years. I should say though, before we go on, I'll dig in and show you some of the comics that were in there, and you can meet some of the characters. And you're welcome to chime in if you have a question or if you want to say something. But I joined the real world and got an actual job. But then Robert Crumb had a magazine that he started that was actually a compilation of different artists, different cartoon artists that he would present in Weirdo magazine. And I figured, it's now or never. I've got to at least try sending something to Weirdo magazine. So I did that. I drew something, I sent it in. and didn't really expect much to happen. I sent it to the address in the magazine. But sometime later, I get my comic back, the artboard, in return mail with a handwritten message from none other than Crumb himself, who said I was on the right track. Keep it up. He named some of the characters in the comic by name. He said, "Did you read this or that book?" The book was what the comic was based on. It so happened he'd read it and he recognized it. And I have to say, it was the most satisfying rejection letter I've ever gotten to date. Okay, so you ready to get into a time machine and see what I was drawing when I should have been studying?
Sure.
Okay. Uh, Starting out in grade school, I found out I could sort of impress my friends or at least waste some time by taking a newspaper and drawing my own word balloons into, onto the newspaper that came. So there's one. This was a thing about Apollo. So I drew this balloon, the astronauts talking to each other. And I thought, okay, some juvenile humor, but I thought you were going to bring me urine bags. So there's the
So you would just create a little word balloon of humor tied to the news of the day.
right, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
something irreverent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, it was a lot easier than actually drawing anything, but then I got more into the drawing of things. So then, okay, I could tell you a little story. In high school, this is before going to college, I did some cartoons that were sort of anti-Vietnam War cartoons, like everybody else was doing then.
Yep.
Well, I get called into the principal's office. I get told that this could go onto my permanent record. Remember the permanent record? And probably could never get a job or get to college again because they would see they could report me and that would get on my permanent record. And they told me to never get caught criticizing the Vietnam War on school premises again. Well, again, Tufts apparently didn't get a copy of my permanent record, so I did this. Here's a little cartoon of something that went into the Tufts Observer. So these are the different characters. The cow is named Creamy, and Buzzers is his boyfriend, and Buzzers is her boyfriend, and she's jogging with her friend there, and she's saying, "I wish Buzzers would switch to a more ecological lifestyle." And so she goes, "He squanders resources. He consumes. He just doesn't seem to realize that less is more." And it's his birthday coming up. So she says, "It's his birthday tomorrow, and I'm going to give him something that says natural." Then the last picture, Mr. Granola. That's Buzzers really impressed, huh? So that was a little bit about the consumer attitudes being dissed in those days. Then the next week we have this. Okay, so now Buzzers has his Mr. Granola here, and he's talking to his friend Meatlux the rabbit. Buzzers is kind of a no good, lazy bum. Meatlux kind of is too, the rabbit, but he's politically engaged and outraged by everything. But anyway, Buzzers is talking here, and he's saying, "Ever since I moved in here with Creamy, she's been absolutely intolerable. She seems to have gotten the idea that I'm taking advantage of her. Totally ridiculous, of course. At least she's shaped up long enough to give me my birthday present there." It's Mr. Granola down here. Mr. Granola, huh? That's pretty nice. I wonder what I could get for it.
I like it.
All right. So now moving right along. Okay. Here's one that inspired the title of the book, which is a compilation of excessive. Okay, so we have these students coming to talk to the president of the university. This guy resembled the fellow who was president of Tufts at the time. And they're a small delegation there saying, Mr. President, we'd like to know what your real assessment is of this college. I believe there's no such thing as too much frankness. And oh, I should give you like all the videos now have a cigarette warning. Warning, tobacco use. In these comic strips, they were all tobacco chimneys, cigarette chimneys. So just so you're warned. Okay, so I believe there's no such thing as too much frankness. So the president turns around and says, well, we educators know that in actuality, a college diploma isn't worth its weight in shit. And the guy's thinking, maybe there is such a thing as too much frankness. Okay. So this is a comic strip that I normally hid my comic career from my parents who were paying for this expensive university education. But in this case, they seem to have seen this. I thought they'd be sore about that, but paying this expensive college and I'm reading that the diploma isn't worth its weight in shit. But actually, they had this. I came home and they'd had it framed and it hung in their house for years. So, okay, so the cartoon started the year with getting into college. Okay, let's start with that. Okay, so here's the little guy, Bobby. His name is a continuing character. Here is apparently university admissions. Apparently, it's just about to be his college interview. Here's his mother talking to him. Okay, this is it. If you screw your interview up, all those years your father and I spent slaving you were for nothing. Don't say anything dumb. University admissions. And there's the interviewer going, next. Boop. There he is getting interviewed. Well, now, Bobby, I understand you spent all day on campus, Bobby, discovering just what our learning experience here is all about. And all Bobby can think of is going, don't say anything dumb. Don't say anything dumb. Don't say anything. And why did you apply to our college? Because you'd probably accept even me. All right. Well, anyway, somebody told me that's at least the first panel. We spent slaving, don't screw up is still an ongoing thing at universities. Okay. Now, back to studying. Here's the no good. Buzzer's the dog. We have him, we have Buzzers here. There. And he's sitting there at his desk in his room with his books, a couple of pieces of paper, doors closed, sitting there looking at this closed book. And he's saying, why does the radiator start clanking whenever I'm trying to work? Then he gets distracted a little bit by his coffee cup. Those coffee grounds look a little browner than usual. And he goes, a bunch of other things. This desktop needs straightening up. I'll start by putting this book away. But then he just sets it down. Oh, that beer made me jittery. Oh, that coffee made me jittery. I'll have a beer so I can concentrate better. Opens up a beer. And he picks up the book again. Boy, whatever kind of glue they use for binding sure smells funny. Then he breaks the third wall. He's looking out at the audience. I love new pencils. You can balance them on the erasers. Then his girlfriend Creamy looks in. Buzzers, what are you doing in there? Cramming for exams. Okay. So we all know how that goes. What do you think? Want to see some more?
The king of procrastination, right? We're all pretty good at that, and it brings back memories of, I know I need to study. I know I need to study. I don't want to study. I don't want to study. It does bring it all back.
Yeah, it kind of still goes on a little bit.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can find me, studying my coffee grounds instead of looking at whatever it is I'm supposed to be looking at or working or whatever. Excuse me for a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, here's something on the similar topic. Buzzers again, the dog. Now, here he is. He's going, sitting there at one of those college desks with a little paddle and half asleep like usual. Jeez, I haven't shown up for this class in weeks. What's going on here anyway? As I recall, that bald guy over there is the professor. Looks like he's getting ready to begin. And another balloon. Okay, everybody, put away your books while I pass out the exam. And he's thinking, come, would I survive the fall from that window? Okay.
Don't ask me why, but every once in a while I have a reoccurring dream related to this theme. I mean, it's
Is
so
that
weird.
right?
I mean, I haven't been in college in a long time. And every once in a while there'll be college dreams, and every once in a while there'll be work-related dreams. I've been retired for 7 years, but it's that theme of that I took this course, I stopped going to it, and I forgot to go like drop the class. Oh my God, I'm gonna get an F in this class. It's like it's borderline painful. And then, fortunately, I wake up and realize you created that whole thing unnecessarily. It didn't happen.
Well, except so many people think that same thing. Uh, Let me just find something for you. I think you'll be interested, as an aside, in this comic here. Let me just find it here. This is a couple of pages from the book where just searching through, you see that, here we go. Now, let me just show you this here, because what you said is quite succinct and I guess you'd say pertinent, because here's the page in the book that came from. I'll just share it, and you can see what I'm talking about. Share it. This is the same cartoon as it appeared in the book, page 85, and my commentary. Dwelling deep in the id, there must be some irreducible fear of arriving unprepared for an exam. Baby boomers commonly have nasty dreams about this catastrophe decades after leaving college.
Oh my God.
It seems to be in that category of dreams where one appears in public without clothes. And horrific primal dread is almost always good for a comedic gag.
Wow.
How do you like that, Larry? Now, we've never met. This was not prepared in advance.
No.
I guarantee it.
That's pretty cool, I guess. You have things happen and you don't know how normal or abnormal they are.
I guess pretty normal.
What you've told me is that I'm living normal.
I'm wondering if that dog is autobiographical.
Yeah, a lot of these are. Okay, this one. Okay, actually, this one is not. These are called single panels. This isn't a strip. It's a single panel. So we have. Okay, I hope you're ready for this, folks. This one was very popular. Now, this was this elderly couple sitting on a couch, and he's going, "I forgot to bring my roach quip." So his teeth are missing. And the reason, well, there are two reasons. One is it's pot humor, it's Cheech and Chong stuff. But
That's
the other
great.
reason, the youngsters wouldn't understand this part of it. But back then, only young people smoked pot. And so it was especially funny because here are those same people,
Yeah.
our age,
Yeah.
smoking pot.
No, that's hysterical. It really is. I mean, obviously, I remember Roach Clips well, but to see his dentures functioning in that capacity is pretty cute.
All right. So,
And who would have thunk it that we could just go to a store,
Right.
I know.
like buying bubble gum.
Yeah, that's another part of the humor. It wouldn't be so funny because it's not as verboten now. You didn't even see that in the comic strips back then, let alone old people. All right, shall I go on? I have more.
You have
I
I was looking through your book. that you sent me.
Yeah.
Can you show any page of the book?
In the book? These are all in the book.
I thought page 32 was just
Oh, okay.
hysterical.
Yeah, sure. That's easy. Okay, page 32. Let me see. I just go here. Boop. I go here. Boop. I go 32. Boop. And oh yeah, that's another sort of okay.
I think
So this is another single panel job. Uh, okay, so share page 32. There. So there's a guy saying, I got
can you make
acacia
it
slits. Huh? Is that the
can
one?
you make it bigger?
Yeah. I think I do it like uh this. Eh, eh.
Okay, good.
Okay, so here's the, oh no, I lost it. 32, 32, 32, 32, 32, 32, 32, 32.
Yeah.
So there's the character. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
He's talking to his houseplant. I got acacia slits with that money I'd been saving to buy you fertilizer. You don't mind, do you? I didn't think you would. And he goes shuffling away.
I think that is so funny.
It's very good. It's
Yeah.
very good. And for whatever reason, I'm like focusing on Castaways, where Tom Hanks is talking to a volleyball for 2
Oh,
hours.
that's right.
Yeah,
Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah, that's pretty darn cute. I think
Right.
for me, the earliest awareness of comics came from unwrapping penny bubblegum.
Oh yeah.
Crumb worked for them. Crumb worked for Fleer's Bubblegum for about a day. He hated it. But I
Really?
remember Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe. That's what comes to
Yeah.
mind. I don't know that I really read the comics. I just remember they were comics. I mean, I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and it was like first exposure to comics.
Yep. Bazooka Joe. And then there was also, I mean, in tiny rate, I mean, it's like for 1 cent, you get all this stuff. There'd be a prize you could send in, and send a dime, and you'd get a tattoo that you could, stick on your sleeve or something like that. Yeah.
My
Bazooka
first
Joe. So
memories.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Crumb went on.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Crumb went on. He was at Fleer's for a while. Then he worked for American Greeting for a year or two, the greeting card company.
Oh,
And those
Mhm.
cards are really collectible if you can get your hands on them.
Yeah.
And then I myself went on and worked for a postcard factory doing, well, a lot of it was using their professional grade uh, graphics equipment, sneaking it in. And then at night I would take home typeset copy and things and paste it into my comics that I would put into my syndicated comic at night. But also I did one or two silly postcards too.
I mean, the technology part of it is kind of fascinating. I mean, it's a trip down memory lane as to, how things are done, right? I mean,
Hmm.
even the way newspapers were done, but in general, comics are more specific specialty.
Yeah,
Uh, the technology, I mean, people used to spend time in dark rooms, right? Creating pictures, and now it's like, the images for your
yeah,
teeth are about 1 second from when they click the button to
right, yeah,
producing
yeah,
the image. So it's so much change. It's hard to really keep up with it and even understand what's behind it. But
yeah.
and were you influenced by Mad Magazine at all?
Yeah, I was influenced. I should tell you something else then. Mad Magazine, absolutely. Harvey Kurtzman was one of the cartoonists, and there are many others. Will Elder, and I mean, I'd go on and on, but it's not all that interesting. But yeah, Kurtzman was a cartoonist there. He was one of Crumb's mentors. He had another. Kurtzman worked for Mad, and then he and others, Jack Davis, many others worked for Mad. That was brilliant stuff that they did. Um, So Crumb submitted to Kurtzman's magazine, which I think was called Sick, but it was like Mad, and he submitted his strip Fritz the Cat. And Kurtzman, he was just he's a kid really, and he had this comic strip of this sort of X-rated comic strip of this cat, and Kurtzman said, "We love your pictures of the little kitty cats. Question: How do we publish them without getting arrested?" So so they made some extremely minor changes and published them. And yeah, Kurtzman was a total mentor in Mad Magazine to Crumb. The Mad, yeah, that was at the same time as well. Very,
When I
very
was,
influential.
when I was growing up, when I was young, reading Mad Magazine, some of the feelings that I had, I think I'm seeing reflected in your comics, is that it was sort of like I was part of a secret society. Like I could laugh at these things and be irreverent, and my parents didn't know.
Yeah,
And I
right.
was doing something that that I didn't want them to know that I was doing because
Yeah.
it made me feel empowered. And I think I got some of that same feeling from your comics. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good, of course. Yeah.
This is really off the loose end, and since there's just a few of us, why not? Um, can you tell me whether Mr. Natural was a cartoon? Does that ring any bells?
It's a comic. It's Robert Crumb. That's one of his great creations.
Okay, there you
Mr.
go.
Natural, Blakey phone. Yeah,
Well, the
yeah.
reason I ask is I recall it. I can say this now that I'm aware of the benefits of psychedelic microdosing in today's society. But
Mhm.
back in the 70s, Mr. Natural and that image was on like graph paper, and each little square was a piece of what they call blotter
Oh
acid.
no, really?
LSD, yes.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
it was clear it was a cartoon character, but I didn't know the root of it. So now I'm
Yeah,
glad I asked the question.
that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Crumb attributes his one of his big artistic breakthroughs with LSD,
Yeah,
which he took a lot of at one time. But
yeah,
one particular trip, all these characters came out of his mind that, and
yeah.
Mr. Natural being one of them, and many, many others that you'd be familiar with if you knew your Zap comics and your Underground comics. So yeah, he's
Okay. It's a small world at times. I hadn't thought about that, honestly, since probably the early mid 70s.
yeah, that's him.
But it was profound at the time, and clearly, there was something to it. I just didn't know the root of it and never really investigated. I didn't have my phone to Google it at the time.
Okay. Well, I got a couple more. You wanna
Sure.
keep walking down the
Yeah.
memory lane here? Okay. Okay, this one I wanted to make sure. See, the setting, of course, was this kind of rundown university called the Peabag Institute, and not only were the students just as I mean, they'd argue about existentialism, and then in the next breath worry about where to get the cheapest beer, just like the rest of us. And the professors were not exactly top grade either. So this one is one of those. This is Professor Horseface, and there's a little character going, Professor Horseface, how was it that you got your post here at the Peabag Institute? And the professor says, oh, gee, it took years of preparation, all in competition with a lot of other scholars. I had to take a battery of examinations. What happened? I failed them. Yeah.
Could you talk about how you came up with these characters? I
Uh,
mean, and
I'll
they
tell
look
you, Sandy.
you
Yeah,
look pretty consistent in their drawings too.
yeah. It's funny. I drew them. I've heard this from other cartoonists and authors too. They have these characters, and then they gain a life of their own. You're drawing them, and they're saying things, and you're kind of laughing at what they're saying, and their name just comes to you. Ursula Le Guin, one time, somebody asked her how she created something in one of her books, this kind of tea or something, and or the character, maybe a character said, "How did you create that character?" And she's thinking about it. She says, "Well, I found him. I found him. Not that she created him. I found him." So then, so Buzzards, even looking back, I'm not even sure I was so aware of it back then, but Buzzards was the no good, and Meatlux was um, the radical, hyperactive rabbit, and Bobby was the sort of wimpy little student and so on. And the Professor Horseface was the, forlorn professor who should have gone into some line of work other than that. And I don't know, the names and the characters just sort of came eventually. Believe me, I threw away, you're not seeing I threw away many more than you're going to see in that book that got published. And then I go back and look at them and I go, man, this is curated. Let's put it that way. I killed a lot of them before agreeing to put them in this book here. So, and they weren't all, some of them were for other things. This one here is, this is one that is not those characters. This is Galileo, as you can see. And here he is with some Renaissance. I had this mistaken idea of putting characters in the Renaissance. We won't go into that, but okay. So this is this character in the Renaissance and Galileo standing there. He's going, "At last, it is finished. Now to see if it works." Hello? Hello?
Oh, that's cute.
A couple more.
I was going to just say for Dade and for Mara, for the three of you
Hi.
for the three of you that popped on, we're just having a small gathering. It's informal. If you have any comments or questions as you're looking at a cartoon, feel free to respond or throw it out. We're keeping it informal. We can see all of you but Mara at the moment.
Okay, so yeah, just for you newcomers, these are I just had a book published of comic strips, and these are college humor from the 1970s and 80s. And I was just showing a few of the comic strips from that era that probably would not be politically correct today. So let's go right ahead if you want, and I'll show you one more here. Now, we have here two characters. This is Meatlux the rabbit, and the rabbit is always getting into these political arguments with people, and the cow is she's kind of trying to be the peacekeeper, and she's saying to the rabbit, "Meatlux, what are you doing?" And so Meatlux says, "Some dude got tough with me, so I'm getting ready to teach him a lesson he won't forget." And she says, "Oh, you poor misguided soul. He has feelings the same as you. You can't just shoot him with a cannon." And Meatlux says, "I can't? Okay." By the way, you'll notice Meatlux has a knife in his back this whole time. I guess he's been in some sort of an argument. He says, "I can't? Okay. Then I'll hit him with a stick. Give me a stick, and I'll hit him with it." And she says, "No, Christ taught us to treat even our bitterest enemies with love and understanding." And he says, "What about if I just slug him?" "No. How about if I slug you?" So, okay, probably unpublishable. So, okay, and then some of them are just sort of garden variety, one panel things. You can find this is pretty much timeless. And here, it's all a matter of your own perspective, you see. So one fish is saying to the other, "I think you're upside down." Right? Now, here's something else probably unpublishable. If you don't mind, I'll show you one more. Okay, so here's the cow again, Creamy the cow, and another professor's. She's there's some student party. You can see that that the one character you've seen before, he's sitting there drinking beer, slamming brews on the right. Creamy's on the left, and Professor Horn's in the middle. "Jeepers, Dr. Horn, I never thought one of my professors had come to a student bash like this. I mean, don't you find this crowd kind of sort of barbaric?" And Professor Horn says, "Quite to the contrary, Creamy. I'm delighted by the sincerity of my friends here. The allurements of this kind of party are considerable." And Creamy goes, "Us? Golly." And Professor Horn says, "Certainly. the characters at those faculty parties, I can't describe. And here they are. He's showing one of them's drunk, the other, the female faculty member, unresponsive, the elderly faculty member, fuddy-duddy, Professor Horseface, steals my ideas. Another female, unresponsive. And he says, and after all, everything is to be gained by developing closer student relationships. Excuse me, but is something making you nervous? Meanwhile, the bird is sinking further and further down on the couch, the other character. And she says, nervous? Why do you say that? You just tied your beer can in a knot. Okay. All right. Well, this went on for a number of years. Like I said, I eventually had to join the real world and get an actual job and so forth. And then I'm going to tell you about one more thing that happened. Then we can talk about comics or anything else you want or nothing at all. But I have here something that happened 17 years after the publication of all of these cartoons that you just saw. And that is, I'm sitting at home and Parade magazine comes folded into the newspaper on a Sunday. And I open it up and I turn to the end, and by golly, I see one of my cartoons from years before in Parade magazine. And I was really excited. I take the magazine and I shake it to see if my royalty check would fall out, and nothing happened. But you can have a look here at what was going on. On the left is my comic, copyright. You can see copyright 1979, and the guy, it's an old chestnut of a joke, but I put it in cartoon format. Guy's saying, "Hey, where's my science project?" And this guy's doing a spit take on the right, and then later, Parade magazine. I was surprised to see Parade magazine printing the one on the right, the cartoon on the right. Maybe I should get permission from Parade before publishing their cartoon in my book. But I don't think I'll bother. Okay, raise your hand if you see a similarity between these two cartoons.
Yeah.
Probably strictly a coincidence, yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what I have for you. But the book itself, Official Comics, a compilation of excessive frankness. You can get on Amazon. You can get it at your local comic book store if you ask for it, or at your local bookstore. They'll have to order it in all probability, so it'll take longer. Or you can just go to Amazon. But it's out there. And what else?
Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed about your presentation is that I'm sure you've seen these comics. Like, I've seen them for the first time, and I find them hysterically funny, and everybody else is laughing. But you're laughing just as much as we are. And so, I mean, so you seem like you're just, really it's part of you. And can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, it just seems so, I don't know, engaging.
Yeah, well, that's funny. I guess it's hard not to be. I never thought of that. But isn't it sort of taboo for a comedian to laugh at his own jokes? I guess that's okay, especially if it's a comic strip. Uh,
Did these sit dormant for a long period of time, and as you got in more recent time, got the urge to go back and
yeah,
rediscover what I did?
yeah. I found a box of them in the basement. Uh, I knew I had, but I found old clippings and in some cases original comics like the one original artboards like the one I showed you. And I look at them saying, geez, some of these are pretty darn good. With modern, now that, now that you can print them properly and in color and clean up all the mistakes and possibly, I'll admit I did enhance some of the punchlines and things a little bit to make them more funny. Now I can do all that and, get rid of the fly specks and the errors and the pencil marks and everything else. This could look pretty good. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to do this as a book. and I could make it a memoir and a history of you know, college humor as well. And so I did that. It took pretty near, probably on and off for a year of just spare time of digitizing, enhancing, getting the pages laid out, and learning how to colorize a modern comic. You don't do it the same way as they used to do it. It's not by painting it in. It's done with Photoshop and all these different layers and stuff. I won't bore you with the details. But no, there was a gap of 40 or 50 years where these lay dormant.
I
Except for that
was
one day when Parade picked one of them up.
Well, that's pretty cool. I was asking because for, my similar experience um, is having in the 70s in college discovering the pen and writing down what's happening. Some was just narrative of the day. It sort of morphed into poetry, and I did it for quite maybe 8, 10 years. I've got all these old books, notebooks of scribble, and when I retired, again, 40 to 50 years later, that's kind of where my question was, because it was quite an experience, and it took quite a bit of time to kind of just reread it, let alone think like, do you want to do anything with it? But it was more like this was my head as a teenager going into the, early 20s. Like this was quite a retrospective. Some of it was, profound, and some of it was like, oh my God, I have zero memory of, what I was doing or talking about. But I
Yeah.
was wondering for you and going back through this experience if you were feeling some of that.
Oh,
That
sure.
yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, remembering that, of course, the late night dorm rooms and seriousness and unseriousness all mixed together. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Yeah, it came back all right. Flashback, you might say.
So my last question, and if others have something to say, jump in, is tied to now being an older adult and the benefits of humor. Like every once in a while, I'll hear somebody talk about that. I mean, we're told a lot of things, right? Like, you know, keep moving, find ways to exercise,
Yeah, right.
find ways to keep your mind sharp, this, that. I mean, all the things we've heard about, learn new things, uh, you know, obviously to not fall and stay healthy longer. But in terms of enjoyment of life, humor gets some play.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough play, but in terms of your understanding of the value or benefits of humor in life, especially as an older adult. Any comments about that?
Well, that's nice. That's a nice thought. I'm sure it's true. It's uh it's a drug that's good for you, humor. Uh it probably keeps you sharp because you have to kind of see two things at once. Any punchline is what you expect, and then the absurd reversal of what is it that is the punchline.
Yeah.
So, that kind of keeps your mind sharp.
Are you doing any cartoons now?
No, I have not picked up pen and India ink and wouldn't for a long time. It's too
Are you
hard.
doing are you doing them on a computer? No.
Am I doing what?
Are you doing cartoons on a computer?
I'm not drawing any.
No, you're
No,
not
I'm
doing
mainly
anything.
into video. It's easier to do video now. I'm thinking as the next big project, I might do some animated videos, but done with not drawing, but done all with. I find it easier to use Photoshop, InDesign, After Effects, and many of the other um graphics tools that are, to me, so much fun to use.
Okay, well
Uh,
that'll be your fourth presentation for Amherst
I hope
Neighbors.
so. Yeah, yeah. I do
Well
have one.
then,
Actually, something. If you don't mind, just taking one more moment. You're reminding me of something. Let's see if I can find it. Uh, because I actually do have. I don't mean to, waste your time or anything, but I do have um, one animated video that sort of has something to do with what we're talking about right now. And if I can find it, I will show it to you. Uh, let's see. Here, 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 here. Huh? Here. Okay. Here. Here. Oh, this might take a while. It was a long time ago. Meanwhile,
While you're looking,
this is yeah.
getting close.
No, this is about the disadvantages of getting older. If I
Oh
can,
no, I that's fine. I was going to actually
here
ask
it is.
Mara, who I know knows a lot about the medical side of life, if she had any thoughts about physiologically what happens to us when we laugh and smile and the benefits of humor in older adults. Mara, I don't know if you're still hanging with us or not, or if you have any comments about that while we're waiting for Bill to find this last
Well, I
piece.
have it. It's the hazards of senior moments. So if you have
Okay, there
something
you
to say
go.
about
All
that,
right.
I would be interested in what, or maybe after you see
Mara, do you
it.
have any comments before we watch this last piece?
Well, I agree, but I don't know any of the physiology involved.
Okay. All right.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes. She was in Mindy's class.
oh.
And she's there often now, too.
Okay, here we go. The hazards of senior moments. It's in kind of a bebop style. It's all collages. What you might call it's called Populux or Googly. This is stuff. Well, anyway, you'll see what it is. I'll share it right now. This is on YouTube.
Saga, go to kitty, 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 kitty. Yow! I better go upstairs and get a Band-Aid, because if I get an infection, the results will be horrible. Now let's see, what's I come in this room for? Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
He's also an infection.
wow. I don't know who the guy was, but I recognize the Elephant Man. Wow.
Okay, so
Okay, well, thank you so much, William.
thank
That was,
you.
we really appreciate it. Your
Yeah.
style, your sense of humor, your engagement was just tremendous. And this will be recorded. It has been recorded, and we will post this on our website.
Great.
Right.
And we're looking forward to your next presentation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody, for jumping on.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.